Welcome to Bike Gossip at Otter Europe in Girona, 2026. I'm bringing you various bikes from different disciplines: gravel, mountain, road, and e-bikes, a bit of everything. But I want to start here today because if there's one thing we're going to have this year, unlike previous years, it's a strong Chinese presence of all kinds in every category. And I'm going to start with this Sika, which is a brand that comes from the Far East. But unlike what we might initially think, it's a brand of extremely high quality that only produces 100% performance bicycles. This is the gravel model. I think it's not on the market yet, and it's absolutely spectacular. Check out some details like this one here, which might remind you a bit of the Mondraker Arid, but in Sika's defense. I have to say that they released it in their road model sometime before. It's an area they've worked on well so that the rear part has very good suspension. Very critical in the gravel topic, aerodynamic issues. As you can see here at the end of the fork, this small teardrop shape. And countless details beyond today's featured paint, plus many interesting paint jobs. We also have, for example, this one-piece carbon cockpit, which is absolutely spectacular. We can't say much more about this bike for now. But it's a sample of the little things that can come from China. In this case, so very high quality, in this case from a young brand, but one that is already starting to gain some prestige. For example, there's another Chinese bike, the X-Lab, which Astana has used in the World Tour peloton since early this year. And what about the story? What I want to talk about is not so much the specific model of this bike, but more about the story behind this brand. It's a manufacturer that makes countless units for European and American brands. They wanted to reach an agreement with a World Tour team to get massive visibility, especially within their own country, but they don't sell these bikes outside of China. Why? Well, basically, so they don't make enemies of all their clients, of all those brands they already manufacture bikes for. So, look at the crossroads we're at. Let's keep looking at bikes. This is really interesting. Let's go over there. We found a surprise at the BMC stand because the prototype that we already had the privilege of presenting exclusively at the World Cup in Andorra is here, and it has some new features. We lack extra information, but can see changes since the first prototype, because the engineers and the team's riders are still testing things. And new brands are joining in with new materials for this 32-inch prototype. It's obvious, for example, that the wheels are now 32-inch Duke wheels, right? It features major improvements. For instance, do you recall the first prototype had extenders around the wheel hubs? Because the spokes didn't exist yet, there weren't spokes long enough to cover the entire distance of a 32mm wheel. Here, let's say the construction of the wheels is more standard. Conversely, the fork is already all-inch. Ultimately, these are just collaborations between the brand and the racing team, right? And as these brands are added to the world of 32 inches, which is supposed to be coming soon, they're at least researching and incorporating them into their Shimano prototype, especially with the new XTR launch. And look, for example, at this interesting little detail. And if I remember correctly, in the first stem, this is the traditional auto drop from the Ford strobe by BMC. That seat post lowers and rises automatically at the push of a button. Well, it turns out it already has a setback. Maybe they've had to make some small adjustments to the rider's position, since the geometry with these new 32-inch wheels is completely changed. They're trying to figure out how these new 32-inch wheels can contribute and whether they make sense in this sector or not. So, what do you think? Do you think it looks cooler than the first one? Or do you see a future for the 32-inch wheels? Above all, let us know in the comments. Let's take advantage of the fact that we're at the Canyon booth at Otter Europe, and they actually have a big part of their booth dedicated to the new My Canyon customization service. Here we have several of the frames you can choose with these custom paint jobs on display. They're so cool, designer made, in this case, for example, by a female designer. We have this one here, check this out. It almost has a red marble look. Well, it's impressive. My favorite out of all the ones you can choose from. Thank you. Here we would go on to see something else. I don't know, it's hard for me to describe the colors because depending on how the light hits it, it has one shade or another. This is another one of the artist's paintings that you can choose on Canyon's customization page. But as you know, it's not just about the color. You can also choose different components and different component sizes. Okay? And here visually, we'll be able to see it very clearly because to start with, we can choose different wheels. Either a set of Zip or a set of DT Swiss for the E-Road. And from here, check out the cranksets in different sizes, okay? Especially the crank arm length, which has been becoming much more important lately. Here we have absolutely all the color customizations that are currently available. Hey, impressive, this screen must look awesome. On top of the E-Road, what else do we have here? The handlebar, in the end, we're simply talking about differences in stem length. Because as we've already mentioned, the width of the handlebar can be adjusted. Already a standard. And finally, here we have the different saddles that can be installed on the E-Road. Well, here's another example. This brand is called Trigon, which comes directly from Taiwan, and it's an example. I'll use it as an example of several brands at Sayati. This is kind of the first year where you see a strong presence of brands coming directly from China or from Taiwan. In this case, as I was saying, people who come directly from Taiwan, bringing a product that has some attractive features. We already see impressive paint jobs, but it's the small details that really make you say, wow. Maybe they don't quite fit with the reality of the market they're trying to enter. For example, this particular bike model is a kind of hybrid between a road bike and a gravel bike with a maximum tire clearance of 40 millimeters, which doesn't really fit as either an all-road or a pure modern gravel bike. So, well, you can see there's motivation and capability from the Asians to have a presence in some way directly here. Most of these brands are backed by a factory that already produces for many Western brands with very good quality. But for now, they are lacking the instinct to know what each market wants. The Spanish, the Italian, the French, the German, which are all very different from each other. And for now, they're missing everything related to the commercial distribution network, after-sales service, and so on. So let's just say this is the first appearance of the Asian sector around here, and we'll probably see many more in the coming years. Many of you have asked about my glasses. They're from the Italian brand Otter. Let me show you the full range they have here. These are the Batu, okay? The same ones I'm wearing. They're electronic glasses, the fastest in the world at changing the darkness of the lens. No need to worry, they don't have a battery, so nothing needs charging. I get asked this a lot. They work with a sensor and are up to 100 times faster than photochromic lenses. Within the range are other gems, like the Puma, which weighs only 16 grams and is the world's lightest. In case there's someone obsessed with weight who goes beyond just bicycles. What's your name? Alberto, what is this gem? It's yours, right? Yes.
From 92 or 93, sorry. This one's restored, right? This one is painted with materials. It's incredible to find things now, old materials, yes, that are in good condition.
Difficult.
It's very difficult. It's very
complex. It's expensive, very expensive.
It's hard to find things like that. Thank you, but you can see it's well cared for and perfectly restored.
Get down here with me and tell us the details, because I even see matching spoke heads.
Yes, the spoke heads, we assembled this. The hub is Nat Shop, blue cable heads, blue spoke heads. Well, Grafton cranks, Grafton XTR all the way. The pedal axles are titanium too. Ringlet, bottle cages. Technology from, I don't know how many years ago, from 30-something years ago. Handlebar stem. Now they're making it, now they're making the guideline. The integrated headset, well, and it has the cables inside. They've been making headsets like this for 5 years now. Yeah.
For cantilever, for...
Cantilever, but now the brands are doing it. Some time ago, the headsets used to go on top. Yeah.
And LADC, is this the first time warm ones? No.
Let's see. Let me put on Shredder from yesterday.
It's Pretreco, truly top quality. Pomro?
Clay 96.
Vel 93.
94.
This bike, if you say now you put it on Wallapop, what price could it reach? You have...
Finding Wallapop is not a very big deal.
Sorry, I misspoke. Let's hold an auction at a luxury gala with vintage Lamborghinis and Ferraris.
The frame, the power, handlebars, and seat post. Maybe we'll go with 3. We'll be around here.
3,000 euros?
More or less. You might be able to find one. This size is difficult because there aren't many tall people, and the sizes that are in demand are 19, 20, 21, which are a bit smaller. But some adults also want this size. Yes, yes.
Amazing, congrats. Hope you keep it for a long time and keep finding more materials.
Thank you.
Well, without a doubt, what you're going to see at this fair are gravel bikes, a lot of them. It's very clear that this segment has been growing for years and continues to do so. And the friends at BH have created an incredible corner here to showcase their already extensive range of gravel bikes. This is the latest release they launched yesterday, which would be their new aluminum gravel bike. In this case, aiming for full-on bikepacking. Check it out, okay? How much capacity? It carries screws and transport materials everywhere. Well, let's get me up from there. I'm going to get up from here. I don't want to mess up the setup, but look, we're coming this way because of him. The lineup continues with a gravel bike, in this case, as you can see, completely rigid, okay? With a Bosch motor. If I'm not mistaken, this is the one with the Bosch motor, right? Okay. Here we're going to see what is the latest version of the Gravel X, which also doesn't have rear suspension, which keeps some characteristic touches of BH already present in their gravel road bikes in recent years. Like this forward fork that gives you some stability at higher speeds, the seat post clamp, perfectly hidden, very discreet. And if we go to this side, we see another electric one. In this case, it has its own motor. The BH brand, as you can see, launched its first system a few years ago to add articulation. Rear section suspension throughout, not only with this fitting here, but also with these holes that allow flex in the stays. Let's continue here, and we have the equivalent in a traditional bicycle of what we just saw, which is the Gravel X. This was the first one they released with the suspension system, and then they released the mass racing. As you can see, some colors are amazing. And there, finally, we have a sample of a bike that the legendary Antonio Ortiz has been using, fully loaded with bikepacking gear. In this case, it's the competition model, the racing one they have, but everything. And loaded like that, I guess it's for some race like Badlands or something similar. Anyway, gravel keeps growing, it keeps splitting off, creating new niches. And this setup that BH has here is a very clear example. Let's dedicate a little space to today's video sponsor, which is Feedback Sports, a very well-known American company in all kinds of mounts, workshop equipment. And this is a kit that I want to recommend to you because it's the one I personally take with me to races. Not to carry with me while I'm on the bike, but to have in the van, okay? As you can see, it's super complete. In just one bag, you can have practically everything you need, from stalks to remove cassettes, remove pedals, chain breakers, and high quality tools. And you know you have the minimum you need to get out of any mishap you might have. Between stages of a mountain bike race, for example. Well, let's see something a bit different. Let's talk with Stefano from Passioni. Hi, Passioni. Titanium bicycles. You'll be amazed by this bike's weight, but first I want him to share some details.
Well, here we are, let's say, in the expression. We've been making titanium bicycles for almost 40 years.
We've made titanium bikes for 40 years.
This is the evolution of the best-selling bike at Passioni, the Titanium Disco. First, this bike features our handlebar, fork, and design.
They're carbon?
They're made of carbon, exactly. Okay, we've improved the control tube. Now it's made in 3 parts, 1.5 thumbs, 1.5 thumbs.
Okay, 1.5 thumbs, top and bottom. Yes, yes.
Yes, we've removed the bridge.
Okay, there's no reinforcement between the braces. It looks cleaner and more aesthetic.
I think it's the nicest part, though the new dropout on that side is closed.
Okay, it's totally hidden. Yes, very nice and aesthetic.
On the bike, depending on the size, we've achieved a weight saving of 120 to 140 grams. So this frame in size 54 weighs 1.3 kilo.
1.3 kg for this frame.
Yes, yes.
And the total weight of the bicycle, just as we see it?
7.8.
7.8 kilo as shown in titanium with fixed gear.
Clump, titanium,
Titanium lock, give me.
incredible. Yes, we applied the finish, which is the historic finish already offered in the 90s by Passioni, where we completely filed down the welds.
There's an incredible hand sanding job. You can run your finger over it. With a blindfold, you couldn't tell the difference. Here, the transition from the top tube to the seat tube, and the handlebar and the fork, even though they're made of carbon, they have a paint on top that's incredible. It almost feels like they're made of gold, right?
Yeah, we had gone back to using a titanium foil with this kind of covering.
Incredible, beautiful. Check out the amazing bike I have here in my hands. It's Kevin Suarez's bicycle. As you can see, he just used it in a race. This is the new Simul, the competition gravel bike from the Asturian brand MMR. And new features, as you can see, with a much more competition and performance-focused profile. It can accommodate tires up to 45 millimeters. In this case, we see that Kevin chooses to use the road pedals that many professionals use, and also notice where many professionals are heading. Depending on the route, with these tires, which are practically slicks in the middle part of the tire, so it's incredible. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. We're at the Megamo stand. Let's record quickly since there's loud music, noise, and 2 major new releases. Of course, we have the SIL, the main competition, in the back, and everyone's watching it, but I personally think this will be a bike. The West is a top seller since the previous model sold well. And here it has been refined aesthetically in an incredible way, and the wheel clearance has been improved. If I'm not mistaken, I think you can easily fit 45 millimeter tires, and above all, we're talking about entry-level prices for a full carbon bike, starting from 2,300 or 2,400 euros, if I remember correctly. Most importantly, I find this bike especially eye-catching for its price range. I think the aesthetics are really well achieved, beyond other practical matters like being able to carry storage for little gadgets inside here and so on. Anyway, let's keep going. Take a look, because in the last corner of the fair, right at the very end, the very last tent of all. Surprise, it's the AliExpress tent, okay? They mainly have brochures and some advertising roll-ups. Wow, everything's a bit shabby here, stuck on by hand, but they're here. Years ago they weren't. This is a start. What will the future bring? We don't know. We have other Asian brands that are very strong there, that sell a lot through AliExpress, like Rock Bros. They have certain types of equipment, backpacks, tools, little things like that. As I said, for now, they're not in the main places. They're not located in a very strong way. Many times, not even an elegant presence, but they're there. This stand is more polished, you see? Well, anyway, here's a bit of a summary of what our Sea Otter experience has been like. Sorry, I couldn't record more. We've had so many meetings. I have a race tomorrow, so I need to rest my legs. Hope you enjoyed this and see you in the next videos. Stay happy. And never forget to hit the subscribe button. That way you help me grow the project. Bye bye.